How's it going, everyone? It's Tavi here from Weather Storm 5000. Today is September 15th, 2018. It is approximately 12 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and as you can see, Florence has weakened into a tropical storm. It is currently a 65 mile per hour storm with its central millibar pressure right around 980, I think, and it is moving very slowly, almost stationary at this point. And you could tell by the Doppler radar the IR satellite imagery is that you could see that it's definitely weakening. There's a lot more dry air towards the southern side of the storm, and there's still a lot of rain bands developing in North Carolina shore, which is definitely a huge worry. And don't take this lightly because there's a tropical storm, because it's going to stay over the same areas for a very long time, dumping a lot of rain. So you could just see that it's evident that we're seeing the onshore push of these thunderstorms as we're seeing the winds go over these very warm Gulf Stream waters just south of North Carolina. And you could see that as wind goes over very warm water, it allows the air molecules to space out a little bit more, and it allows the air to hold more water, which will induce thunderstorm development with this onshore push and this onshore wind we're seeing from this storm currently. As even though it's still a 65 mile per hour storm, it's still going to bring heavy rain to this area, bringing potentially 20 inches of rain over the next several days, which is already insane because, as I'm going to show you right now, we've already seen totals that have been just breaking records all over the place in the Carolinas. So these are current wind gusts we saw as the storm made landfall. By the way, the storm made landfall at around 7:15 Eastern Standard Time in the morning of September 14th, right around Wrightsville Beach, which is just to the east of, which is basically just to the east of Wilmington. And it brought, as a result, very high wind gusts, very high rain totals. You could see we had a rain total of 23 inches. So to put that in perspective, that's about an inch per hour nearly. Like, it probably did rain over 24 hours for a while, but it's still quite insane that we're seeing. Oh wait, let me turn this video off. Alright, I think we'll be good. But anyways, guys, we're seeing very heavy rain from this storm, and it's going to continue on for days, as I'm going to show you the current rainfall map as of right now. So you could see that you wouldn't notice that this rainfall map has changed since yesterday, even though the storm is still going on, because we still have the darkest you could go along the chart. We still have potentially 20 more inches to go in the southern North Carolina coast, which is quite insane to think about it, because this area already has received about 20 inches of rain, and to add another 20, we're talking about nearly 40 inches of rain, and that could potentially fall in total for North Carolina and South Carolina coastline, which is quite amazing and has never been seen before along the Carolinas. And it's a very similar situation to Harvey, and I'm going to show you right now why that is because this storm is basically blocked by two strong ridges of high pressure. We see one ridge of high pressure that's towards eastern Canada and another ridge of high pressure that's towards the Great Lakes, and it's basically just stuck between these two high pressure systems. Unfortunately, there's no trough to really push it anywhere anytime soon, which is definitely a huge worry for the Carolinas. And also, you could see just surrounded by high pressure. They're basically just shielding any type of trough from coming in and sweeping the storm apart from the North Carolina coast. But that is not the case, as this might have something to do with with climate change and global warming, since we're seeing more events like this, since this event seems very similar to Harvey. But I'll leave that for another video. But I just want to make sure that everyone knows that there's just these huge ridges of high pressure that's basically just gonna keep this storm stationary. And as for the winds of this storm, although the storm has definitely weakened, we're still seeing some very strong winds reported, with gusts still going over 50 to 60 miles per hour in many areas, which is gonna be definitely may bring potentially catastrophic damage to the Carolina coast, since they're not very used to or they're not very adept to handle these types of wind events for a prolonged period of time. As you can see that we're seeing 50 mile per hour wind gusts, and some of these are sustained even. We're seeing 30 right around the Raleigh area, and we're seeing 56 just off the coast of North Myrtle Beach and Myrtle Beach. But we're seeing those winds still kicking in very strong, and it's definitely a huge worry for the Carolina coastline. But as you can see, I'm gonna show you the current radar loop of this storm, and we're seeing those rain bands really kick in, and we're seeing potentially tornado warnings with this, as I wouldn't be surprised if we did see a tornado warning, since we have a lot of dry air starting to circulate with this, and since due to how complex hurricanes are, we usually see areas of very high rising air, while we see areas of sinking air as well, which is why tornadoes are so prominent in hurricanes. And we're seeing some tornado warnings just around Jacksonville area. It seemed like it's been canceled based off of how quickly the tornado warning has just gone by, but we're still seeing that threat of tornadoes. And although tornadoes in hurricanes are usually weak and mostly small in most cases, the thing is that with these tornadoes, they could produce very high wind gusts, and you probably won't even see it due to the rain that's basically shielding the tornado from being visible to the human eye. So it's definitely gonna be a tornado threat, especially since we're seeing the dry air and we're seeing those thunderstorms really develop off of this onshore flow. And so don't let your guard down because with a tornado warning, because we still could potentially see a tornado in many of these places here and there. But we have been seeing 100 mile per hour wind gusts as for in many areas, and the storm surge has reached record levels, I think, near the Morehead City area, where we received a 10-foot storm surge at one point, which is definitely a record. And it just brought catastrophic inland flooding combining with the coastal flooding in North Carolina. It's unfortunately has led to 5 people losing their lives in the North Carolina area. And we're hoping that there's going to be less deaths that we're going to report, but unfortunately is that this storm could very well get worse in terms of the flooding situation, although this storm is weakening. So do not let your guard down just yet. And as for the future of this hurricane, you could see that it's expected to go very well inland. So the good news is that it won't go onshore and maybe strengthen a little bit and potentially impact the northeast coast just the same. It seems like it's going to weaken significantly, especially since it's going over the higher elevations of the Appalachian Mountain range, but it still could bring a small heavy rain threat, nowhere near the heavy rain threat we're seeing in the Carolina coast, but it's definitely something to watch for the northeast. Even though it won't be major, I still think that we could potentially see 3 inches from this along the northeast. But you can see that this storm is moving very slowly because of the 2 high ridges of high pressure I was talking to you about. But eventually this high pressure that's centered over the Great Lakes right now should move to the east and allow a trough to basically pull it up, and then and it's basically evident based on the projected path. You can see that this storm is gonna move very fast after probably the Monday time frame, once it's around the Ohio River Valley. So that's definitely gonna be a good news, that it's gonna move fast from northeast and it won't bring any more impacts than what we're already seeing in the Carolina coast. But anyways, guys, I thank you guys for watching this. I'm gonna do a report tomorrow as we're gonna continue to watch the heavy rain threat along the Carolinas, and I might go more in depth with the other tropical systems in the Atlantic as of right now. So I hope you guys have a great night, great evening, or great afternoon, great morning, whenever you're watching this, and stay safe.